Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 106 of the J Situation Podcast. I'm recording this on March 22nd, 2022. How are you all doing on this fine spring day? I'm doing well. Yeah, way better than I was earlier in the week. Oh my gosh. I'm under a lot of pressure right now running a test study that is insane. I can't tell you too much, but I can tell you a little bit about it. Part of it involves generating a shock load of a certain magnitude and duration. And you know how in the sound signature reviews, how I sometimes speak to you about shocks, like shock waves? Imagine those, but way higher amplitude and way longer. Yeah. And then also way higher amplitude and then way shorter. Yeah, how would you do that? Yeah, so anyway, we made a breakthrough today and figured out that the reason we weren't creating a shock when we wanted to was it actually wasn't that we weren't creating one. It was actually that we were simultaneously creating another wave that was destroying our shock before it could propagate to the location where we needed our shock to be. Yeah, so that's basically all I can tell you. But and the scale of what we're doing is so big that making it do what we want, it's not as simple as just picking something up and putting it down, or turning a bolt or something. It's not like that. It's very involved. And yeah, so it's been a challenging last couple of weeks, and I solved a very big problem today. So not out of the woods yet, but I'm super excited to progress with stuff tomorrow and continue on. But that was man, I really needed a win. It's one of those times where it was like, okay, it's Tuesday, just, kind of praying and just thinking like, oh man, just let something go right. And it did. And I was high-fiving, and it was just like, the team was just like, yes, it was really good. And you know what else was really cool? And this is fitting. This is actually a special episode of the podcast. Because guess what? The Silencer Sound Standard is 2 years old. That's right. Isn't that crazy? Yeah. Happy anniversary to the standard. And to you, the members of the public that support it and who have made it the true and trusted industry standard for silencer sound signature characterization. Okay, we did it. We actually did it. 2 years. All of you listening and all you supporters, you helped me get to this point. I'll talk about it more on today's episode, but I'm just so overwhelmed with incredibly awesome support from everyone, and I can't believe we made it this far. And some folks also directly support the podcast and the effort, like Silencer Shop. The J Situation Podcast is proudly sponsored by Silencer Shop. That's right. You can use their kiosk. You do your fingerprints and your photos electronically. And in turn, you cut down on errors. You simplify your silencer purchasing process. You get a money-back guarantee. It's great. No transfer fees, no paperwork errors, just you and your silencer with no drama. It truly is silencer ownership simplified. That's right. Thank you, Silencer Shop. And secondly, another supporter of the podcast is True Shot Gun Club out of Arizona. That's right. You can click on the show notes there in the podcast episode there on your podcast provider or on the website, and that link will take you to their site. And if you buy ammunition using that link, it helps the podcast and it helps Pew Science. That's right. You can also join their club. It's a frequent buyer club thing. It's like Amazon Prime, but it's for ammunition. It's called their A-Zone membership. You can join, and if you join their club, you get free shipping on all the ammo you buy for the whole year that you remember. It's crazy. And you may not want to join that. Some people don't like to join things like that, but if you do get free money, just use code word PewScience and you get $20 off of that A-Zone membership there. You do. And, you get $20 off that membership, and then all your ammo that you buy from them has free shipping the whole year. Come on, man. That's awesome. So, yeah. You win. They win. You help the podcast. That's right. Okay. Hope that helps you. And lastly, kind of the reason we're all here in the major topic of discussion, this podcast is brought to you by Pew Science. That's right. Pushing the silencer industry forward, one test at a time. I mean, the silencer sound standard's been out for 2 years, and it's been doing it. Look what we've done so far. You can see it all on pewscience.com. That's where the suppression rating is. That's right, the simplest and the most accurate hearing safe ratings for your suppressed small arms. Okay, based on true inner ear response of the human being, using the entire gunshot, the actual waveforms measured. That's right, all the way from before combustion even takes place, all the way until all the gas is out of the silencer and all the combustion is gone. That's right. And the suppression ratings in Section 5 of the Silencer Sound Standard. It's going to walk you through gunshot noise. It's sort of like Wikipedia, but it's cooler because it's about silencer sound. That's right. There are 7 parts in the standard. They're all on pewscience.com for you to read. And if you haven't dug in, you think it's too overwhelming and maybe you're a little intimidated, that's okay. Skip to Section 5. That's what the suppression rating is. Really quickly, it's going to let you know how silencers stack up in comparison to one another with regard to sound at the muzzle and at the shooter's ear. It's going to give you a hearing safe dose limit for today. It will give you a hearing safe dose limit for the particular platforms on which the silencers are tested. That's right, it will. Got a tongue twister. Yeah, it is. If the rating is higher, it's going to be better for your ears. If it's lower, it's going to be worse for your ears. Them's the breaks, kid. Those are the facts. That's right. Now, the 6th section of the standard contains all the reviews, and I realize these can be intimidating and, frankly, terrifying to some people that don't like words or pictures or graphs. It might scare you, which is fine. I understand. If that's overwhelming, go ahead and you can go to Section 7 of the standard. It's a simple database tool. It's a table. You sort it. Filter it to your heart's content. You find something you like, you click on the links there in the table. It takes you back to Section 6, and you can focus on what you really want to know about, which silencer is which. Things like that. You look, oh, this silencer does this. Oh, this silencer does that. Yeah, it'll be good for you. Okay? As always, if you are a manufacturer and you would like to use Pew Science for private testing or consulting services, no problem. You can go to the website. There's a form with which you can submit that inquiry. All your contact information and any test data that we generate as part of any contracted effort is held in strict confidence, unless, of course, you want to release it to the public, in which case, no problem. Pew Science can help you do that. We'll be talking a technical discussion of a contracted test series on this episode today. Yeah, so that's another example of this this part of Pew Science working. It's awesome. So awesome. And you can support this podcast. You can support the Pew Science effort. You can support all the testing I do by joining with a membership at pewscience.com. That really helps a lot. And you get more data if you join. And there's a donate function on the review page there and the podcast page. Every little bit helps. You can give a lot, you can give a little, or you can give nothing at all. That's right. And if you're not into giving money for things, I understand. You can also spread the word. That's right. You can also rate the podcast highly on your podcast provider, whether that be iTunes or Spotify or things like that. And that will let folks know that silencers and guns are awesome. Algorithmically, that's all right. We're fighting the long-term goal of normalizing the use of suppressed small arms. That's right. Okay. Oh man, what a good, I tell you guys, this week did not start with me thinking I was even going to do the podcast. I was just so like, it's been a time, as they say. I have, and then that breakthrough today, it just put a little bit of wind in my sails, man. I just needed that. I needed that win. So we got 4 topics for you today. Topic 1, the silencer sound standard turns 2. This week it does. It's so crazy. Happy anniversary to all of you. Okay? Your support made the new industry standard a reality. That's right. Topic 2, Sound Signature Review 669. Nice. The Silencer Central Banish 30 Gold on Supersonic 308. That's right. Technical discussion. We'll talk about that silencer. And then topic 3, we'll talk about the same silencer again from Sound Signature Review 670. That's right, the Silencer Central Banish 30 Gold on Subsonic 300 Blackout. That technical discussion. So we're going to go from Supersonic 308 to Subsonic 300 Blackout. Same silencer, same test program, same contract from Silencer Central. Yeah, well, that's cool. And then finally, topic 4, Do you have a moment to speak about the Surefire OBC and short dwell time for silencer use? Excuse me. Can we talk about your car's extended warranty? No, but really, and frankly, I'm 11 and a half bin length gas gang. Gather with me. Also, Knight's Armament. Let's talk about them maybe. Because they're aware of the effort, and so is Rooftop Defense. Like what? Dude, what in tarnation is going on? It's spreading. It's awesome. All right, let's move into topic 1 at a time of 10 minutes and 34 seconds. Whew. All right, get some water. Okay. Oh, man. I'm telling you guys, if you saw me yesterday, you would be like, please don't do a podcast, because it would be a disaster. And then on my drive home today, I was like, I cannot wait to do this podcast. It's funny how, morale, why did I say moral? Wins that boost morale can really lift you up. It just, sometimes you need those wins. And, this first topic, it's just so fitting. The silencer sound standard turning 2 years old this week. Yeah, it was March. It was the end of March of 2020, and now it's the end of March 2022. It's happy anniversary to all of you. Your support made this the new industry standard, and it made it a reality, and we did it together, guys. And, technically it's going to be the anniversary this Saturday, technically, but we can celebrate this week if you want. You get to open one gift. It's like, remember your parents and Christmas. Santa. 2 years of support. Some folks are gone, but some stick around, and I do appreciate that. This is pretty hard, guys. It is. But look how far we've come together. You need to think about this. For the first time in the history of the silencer industry, there is an actual standard that is being used in a consistent way, and companies are being held accountable by consumers. Okay, this is consumer advocacy in its purest form. All right, the people want good, reliable, unbiased, independent analysis. Okay, and they're getting it, dude. You guys have been getting it for so long now that you expect it, you request it, and if you aren't getting it, like if you don't get it, you're not even taking silencer performance claims seriously. I see it. And why is that? Well, that's because you don't trust. Is it because you don't trust the manufacturers? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. I mean, that's part of it. Certainly, that's certainly part of it. In some case, in cases, but it's also, and this is speculation, but I think I have a pretty strong case for it. It's also that you now see the incredibly wide range of silencer performance that can occur, really depending on the type of silencer, the host, the ammo, the characteristics of the whole system. And now you have the knowledge tools, the learning, the understanding, like even at a basic level, to know when something makes sense, right? Or to know when it doesn't make sense. Well, when it passes the smell test, when it doesn't. And you know that the performance has reasons, right? It has a why. Yeah. These are becoming less mystery tubes to you now. And more understandable products now. The silencers, right? This is real. And it's not like I just started this and you're like, well, what's he even going to do? No, this is 2 years solid. And this is, and so what do you have when you have a lot of data points? You can look at trends. What are we looking at? We're looking at a rising tide raising all ships and consumer education over time. And it's making a big difference, guys. I really think. And the knowledge is elevating and it's spreading. Look what we did. Look at the website. Go to the, if you haven't been, and some of you just listen to the podcast, you don't even go to the website, just go to the website. 70 articles. Dude, that's insane. And they're all consistent. And they're all in one place. And they're read by a lot of people, guys. A lot of people look at this data now. A lot of people are reading this analysis. And it's only getting bigger. Knights Armament knows who we are now, guys. When I say we, I mean the Pew Science Army. Knights Armament knows. They know what Pew Science is, they know who I am, and they know what the consumers are doing with the information. And this is firsthand from Knights Armament to me. Okay. They know Pew Science. They know you. They know you are learning stuff. You know what they told me? They told me they are happy that I am explaining things to people so they can understand it. That's what they told me. Knights Armament didn't tell me that they liked it or they hated it or they were reading about it. No. They told me I'm doing good work and making things understandable to the masses and that they appreciate it. I got that in writing, dude. I'm going to frame it. Seriously. That's Knights Armament, guys. Knights Armament. I don't care if you think, oh, all the lowers are made in the same place. I heard their quality sucks. Okay, listen. I don't care actually about any of that in the context of this conversation. What I'm trying to tell you is Knights Armament said that about Pew Science. And this is the 2-year anniversary of Pew Science. I did this in 2 years with your help. Publicly. What could we do in 2 more years than we've done now? Okay? I think actually that's a pretty good way to end that topic. Short and sweet. And you guys have made this the standard. The silencer sound standard. Okay? It is the industry standard. By the people, for the people. Pew Science. That's right. I mean, that's it, dude. That's it. Let's move into topic 2 at a time of 17 minutes and 28 seconds. That's right. Boom. Sound Signature Review 669. Nice. Silencer Central Banish 30 gold. That's right. Let me see. It's a Supersonic 308 technical discussion. Let me pull up the review right now on pewscience.com. All right. I have it right here. Member review. Dude. This was wild. Boy, howdy. I couldn't. There's so many. Hold on. I want to minimize this. I don't want to lose my audio recording status. I want to make sure, could you imagine if I was just talking and I accidentally stopped the recording and I was talking to a dead mic? That would be bad. All right, one moment. Yeah, there's so many reasons why this review is crazy, or these 2 reviews that we're going to talk about. This one, it came out of left field, right? I guarantee you there was not one person that guessed this. I mean, a lot of you guessed stuff, and it is really funny. When I told you guys in the last episode, I was like, you guys can try to guess, but you're definitely not going to guess this one. Some people guess stuff, and your answers, which were obviously wrong, were so telling to me. Because it shows what you think I'm looking at, or what is on the market that you feel is important to you, or what that you want to know. And it's all your little personal biases. Biases. All of your, is that, yeah, because if you have a bias towards something, you're biased with a bias, and then there would be biases. Yeah, biases, not biases. I'm like, biases? That sounds weird. All of your biases come to light with nuance in what you speak with me about. And that's not with just guessing what review might come next, but just with anything. And it's nothing bad, and you shouldn't be ashamed of it or anything. It's just interesting because I interact with so many humans now on a daily basis and a lot of people think that my sample size is skewed, or my sample set is skewed because the type of people I interact with are more technical, and they're PewScience supporters, and they don't represent all consumers. And no. You're 100% incorrect, because the people that I interact with range from novice shooters that have never shot a gun before to enthusiasts that own more silencers than I do, to doctors, to lawyers, to construction workers, to, I mean, you couldn't believe. So really, if you are on the outside looking in, in respect to the previous topic, and maybe you're skeptical about how many people this is reaching, and you want to get yourself into some kind of confirmation bias situation, or you want to like lull yourself into a false sense of security that you don't have to worry about this because it's not going anywhere. Well, I've been warning you that it's important, and I try to shy away from hyperbole. So I can only tell you what I tell you on the podcast, and because the reviews are so objective, I don't talk with you conversationally in the reviews, right? It's not like a YouTube video where you see a YouTube video and you might get someone's favorite movie at the end of the video when they're talking about a gun or something. It's not like that on pewscience.com. All you see is the reviews. Now, this podcast, when I'm speaking with you, I know it's entertainment, but also like I'm not wasting my time. What I say, you should listen to what I say. You don't have to listen to it like, oh, I'm not telling you to obey my words. No. What I'm saying is hear it, because I'm not talking mess. Your biases, bringing it back to what I was saying, your biases came out. And when I released this data, there was nothing. There was like people's jaws hit the floor, because they were like, oh, apparently PewScience isn't messing around. That's right. Because never in a million years did you think you were going to see Silencer Central branded silencers on pewscience.com in the Silencer Sound Standard. And there is no dealer or distributor in the industry or manufacturer that thought this was going to happen. I guarantee you. I mean, maybe some of the PewScience advocates, maybe some of the manufacturers knew it would eventually happen, but the at large, no, they never would have thought. And why? Why didn't they think that? What they thought, like, because these silencers are only sold by one company, that they don't matter. No, they matter. And I didn't think it was going to be this soon, but Silencer Central approached PewScience for this. Okay, so that's showing you something. And it's funny, because this was a contracted series. A contracted test series from Silencer Central. They reached out to PewScience, and we did it. But it is funny, the folks at Silencer Central seem to do things a little bit differently than a lot of the other industry companies. And this is just, man, this is outside looking in, dude. I do have the benefit. It is cool. One of the things I like about PewScience is that I get to look at things from the outside in a lens that is more clear than your lens as a consumer, because I'm just closer. Everything's more in focus for me than you. It is what it is. It is what it is. And Silencer Central seems to do things a little bit differently. They handle or directly subcontract all the manufacturing, distribution, and sales of the Banish series, their house brand. And other than the manufacturing, all the other silencers they sell, they handle the distribution and the sales. Understand that? Isn't that a lot different? That's a lot different than the other entities. And so the silencers of their house brand, they're self-contained as a business. You understand? Effectively. And the Banish 30 Gold is one of those silencers. And I don't know if people realize that. Like, if you as a consumer listening to this, you might be like, why are you even telling us this? Well, for one, it's public. For two, it's actually interesting when you consider the totality of everything. It's just interesting. And you should know it. I feel like people should know this type of stuff because it helps you understand everything. The more you understand, the more you know, the more decisions can be informed properly. That's all. That goes with anything, right? Right. So just like changing your oil, dude, it's the same thing. So knowledge is power. If you Googled the silencer, you can see the baffles. You can. The silencer is user serviceable. The interior of the silencer is not a secret. You can see it on their website. On their website, you can look at the baffles, dude. Like, this could not be any more transparent and clear. Okay, truncated, notched cones, guys, and a bunch of them. And then they have 4 ports in the blast baffle, in the blast baffle cone, and they don't notch the blast baffle. How about that? When have we talked about that? For all the time, right? Basic stuff, dude. Basic stuff done in a simple way that is apparently effective for the intended use. Okay, let's look at the data. Bottom line up front: 44.4 composite suppression rating on supersonic 308, 20-inch barrel, 31.4 at the muzzle, 44.1 at the ear. Not too shabby, frankly. The most recent 308 tests you saw before this, it was the Enticer series from Diligent Defense, right? That was another contracted series. It just happened to be. Don't think that that's all I'm doing now. It just happened to be. Sometimes contracts line up, and sometimes contracts that release public data line up, and when that happens, you get concurrent, and that's just what happened. Okay, just don't. I know a lot of people love conspiracy theories, but they're seldom true, and I'm just telling you straight from the horse's mouth, this was just a coincidence. Now, to give you an idea of the relative performance of the Banish 30 Gold, it's quieter than an Enticer S on this gun, but it's somewhat louder than an Enticer L on this gun. Okay, so it's fitting somewhere in between those two silencers. Okay, that's sort of where this silencer fits in performance-wise. All right, so it is interesting, and I actually have it in front of me here. I had taken off the end cap before I started the podcast. I was messing with it. It's interesting that you can take it apart. It's a little weird and the way you do it is kind of strange. It is. It's similar to some others, but it is a little weird. There's an end cap removal tool that comes with it, and it's made out of the end cap removal tool is made out of machined plastic, like the rugged stuff, but just a little differently. And there's a hole in that end cap removal tool for a Torx bit, and they give you a little Torx wrench for it. So you can use those two things in tandem to unscrew the end cap of the silencer. That part is actually kind of cool because, I don't know, like for example, on a rugged silencer, try to use that end cap removal tool to get a rugged end cap off when the rugged end cap is like has been shooting for a little while, and maybe it was a little too tight from before. Like, it's not. I've broken those tools. They round over, and you can't. They're just not. Anyway, so that's actually a pro tip. Just to take a quick aside, if you do own a rugged silencer, don't over tighten your end cap. I mean, tighten it snug, but don't like He-Man it, because getting it off it can be a problem. Now, there might be I'm trying to think if there's a third party one, but I have a rugged end cap tool on my desk too. This has just been here for a while. Oh, look, and there's an Enticer. Right there. My desk is a mess. Yeah, but like when I pick up the rugged end cap removal tool and the Silencer Central one, the Silencer Central one's heavier. I wonder, maybe it just has more material because the rugged one is a donut. Everyone has their methods that are different. I almost feel like is this one titanium? Hold on a second. Oh shoot, is this not plastic? Dude, the Silencer Central one, it might be tight. It might be it's aluminum. You know what? I bet it's aluminum because it's softer than. Oh my gosh. Huh. Okay. Well, I was wrong. The end cap removal tool for the Banish 30 Gold I think it's aluminum. So some knowledge for you. Thought it was plastic. So yeah. When you take off you learn something new. When you take off the end cap from this guy, there's an O-ring on the end cap, and you can dump the baffles right out if you like. They can get stuck in there, but they give you a baffle pusher tool too, with the silencer, so you can use that and you can take it apart. You can push them out rather. You can push the baffles out. So yeah, and the entire thing's titanium. The baffles are actually pretty thin, guys. They feel very, very thin and simple. The baffles, okay? This is not a fully welded monolithic tubeless silencer, guys. It's just not. This to me, to tell you the truth here, to tell you lies here. No, I don't know. To tell you the truth, it's actually reminiscent of the older silencers you would use. It reminds me of old school silencers, but with a take apart feature that manufacturers really didn't used to do with the old silencers. And it really, what's funny about it, manufacturers really didn't start to give create user serviceable silencers for folks until everyone got pissed. And when I mean everyone, I mean consumers, because they couldn't clean their rimfire silencers. That was the main one. Okay, and now this is centerfire, but you can still clean it easily, which is kind of cool. And it is extremely rare nowadays to be able to do that with a centerfire rifle silencer. It's not completely, I guess, anomalous. Like it's not completely anomalous, but it is more rare. I think maybe Griffin has one. 1 second. I think maybe Griffin has one you can take apart, and then I don't know. That was just one in my head really quick I thought about, and then there might be some other user serviceable rifle silencers, but yeah, this is one of them. Now, man, I ninja paused the recording to sneeze. That was a violent sneeze. It's rare to be able to take apart a centerfire rifle silencer, but it is not without need. And it is a myth that you never have to clean a centerfire rifle silencer. That's a myth. Now, methods of cleaning, that's a whole nother conversation. But you can definitely fill up a silencer. Some silencers actually, I was just talking with a manufacturer about another manufacturer silencer who, to remain nameless, about some problems that they were having with some military customers. And yeah, it can be a problem depending on the design. There's a lot of stuff that goes on inside silencers that a lot of consumers don't understand or think about, but some manufacturers do pay attention to with regard to cleaning, or rather with regard to buildup and how to stop that buildup from forming or collecting or staying. And so that's something to think about. So if you do own a centerfire rifle silencer and you do shoot a lot with it, contacting the manufacturer to ask them about a cleaning schedule and a cleaning method might be prudent. And if you can't get a good answer, you may maybe hit me up and we can talk about it. Maybe I can shoot you some contact information for some people who can help you. Now, moving on to the mount of the silencer. Yeah, I wanted to actually talk about this because it's kind of funny in a way. It's interesting. The mount, I have it in my hand, it's titanium, it's pretty light. It is basically like a Thunder Beast taper mount, essentially, in that they are compatible with each other, the thread pitch and the taper. Now, you can put this mount in Ultra 9, I'm pretty sure, I think. And you can put an Ultra 9 mount in this silencer, I think. I'm not 100% sure if they all work like that, but I'm pretty sure. And one of the wildest things to me, and this is going to blow your mind if you haven't seen the review, that this silencer, this Banish 30 Gold and the Thunder Beast Ultra 9 are pretty dang close in suppression rating on this host. And that's kind of wild. Okay, but I do want to say, and this is something that I think some people miss and they didn't think about or they didn't read. A lot of people don't read the whole reviews, which I talk about with some people sometimes, and that's fine. I don't expect people to read the whole reviews. And for those people who don't care enough to read the whole reviews, it's kind of self-correcting Because if you really don't care that much about some details, then the big number at the top of the page is probably fine for you. Those that want to know more, well, the information is there for you, and I'm not going to hold your hand. Okay, I am going to explain it to you if you have issues, and I'm explaining stuff on this podcast, but I'm not going to hold your hand and make you read something, guys. I'm not your dad. Okay, I'm not going to force you to do your homework. That's not my job. It's your job. You're a grown man or woman. Now, it's important to note that just because silencers are close in suppression rating, maybe in composite rating and muzzle and ear ratings, it doesn't mean that they're close in every aspect of performance necessarily. I think you see where I'm going with this. Because one of the things that differentiates the Ultra 9 from the Banish 30 Gold is first round pop suppression, doesn't it? Those of you who read the review know that. Okay, it depends if you're a bystander or it depends if you're the shooter. But the fact of the matter is, the phenomenology is different between the two silencers. And, excuse me, the Banish 30 Gold, it is not the FRP killer that the Ultra 9 is, necessarily, okay? It does share some similarities in flow. Okay, but we're going to need to look at some data here. Okay, let's look at some data. So scroll down in this review to figure 1. Scroll down. I'm in the member review. I'm going to scroll down past the table. Boom, 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 boom. Figure 1. Okay. Silencer fingerprint. That's right. And I should start calling it that in the article. No, but what do you see right away? What did I say the other day? Look at the figure. Let your eyes go blurry. Don't even look at the numbers of the words and just look at the waveform. What do you see right away? Typical restrictive silencer, isn't it? Omega Zone 6, actually, for this silencer, almost Omega Zone 7. Bullet comes out, then you get your shock. Bam, suppresses down to super low amplitude. Tiny. Gets as low as around 116 decibels, actually, at one point. That's pretty low. And then the jetting starts, doesn't it? Then the jetting starts. Boy, howdy, does it take a while to ramp up, too. It takes a minute. Well, it doesn't take a minute. It actually takes... first jet's about half a millisecond. It's not a minute, but you get colloquialism. Sorry. Oh, 1 second. Let me pause this. I got a frog in my throat. Sorry, guys. Frog in my throat was not being quiet. Yeah. So, like I was saying, low amplitude jetting goes as low as 116 dB. Takes about... Then the jetting starts to occur, right? The first jet happens, it's about half a millisecond later, and then a half millisecond after that, you get your peak. Your the highest amplitude in the FRP. Okay, your peak FRP. And you know what's really interesting? I was looking at this, and it's like, man, I looked at it, and one of my first thoughts when I was examining the early time, I was like, you know, what this really looks like to me? It looks like an Otter Creek Labs PR30L. Like the signature. I was like, that's weird. I referenced it in the review. I said that. It's strikingly similar in FRP fingerprint, isn't it? But the baffle design is very different, which is cool. It's interesting. The flow rate from the Banish 30 Gold is higher. It's higher than the flow rate's higher than the Ultra 9, and the flow rate is higher than the PR30L. It's not trapping quite as much gas as those two silencers in this flow regime. Okay, it's not. It traps a little more gas than a Thunder Chicken. Okay, and it traps a little less gas than an Ultra 9. Okay, so the flow rate's sitting somewhere in there. It's pretty close. It's not that far away. And in general, these three silencers, the Banish 30 Gold, Ultra 9, and the PR30L, their flow rates are not really that far away. Okay, now, a key takeaway, though, regarding the performance of the Banish 30 Gold is the FRP, the first round pop. And this design, as you can see, and it's really cool that I can talk about this because the baffle design is literally public. It's sitting there. It's not super advanced. And some of the advancement in silencer design over the years has been FRP reduction. Now, the Banish 30 Gold, for example, it has a higher muzzle suppression rating overall than the Ultra 9. But the Banish 30 Gold has FRP that is more perceptible than that from the Ultra 9. Okay, it's not extreme on 308 supersonic, but it's there. Okay, and actually, Pew Science members can check out the first round pop notes at the ear. I think that information will be important to folks, so please, if you're a member and you haven't seen that, please go see that. Now, this silencer, actually, it highlighted something important to me. And I hope to you. Maybe you didn't think about this, but we'll talk about it right now. This is a scalable, predictable silencer design, and it falls into place with really many of the existing silencers in the pedigree. It really does fall into place, and it has 11 baffles. It's notched cones. The blast baffle's ported. The outer diameter is a little bigger, 1.6 OD. So you're pretty much in 1.5 inch diameter territory, give or take, just because of the construction of the silencer. Now, it's sort of like a rugged surge crossed with an Ultra 9 in performance. Really, I mean, that's really what you're looking at. And 1 second. I think I'm having to drink so much water because my team and I were talking so much today and yelling and cursing when things didn't go right. You know how it goes. Good old work. So yeah, it's crossed with the Ultra 9 and the rugged surge, and you look at the muzzle waveforms and you're like, it kind of shows you that. You look at figure 4A. Let's scroll down past figure 1. Figure 4A. Boom, boom, boom. What's 4A? Impulse. That's right. I got it right. If you look at 4A, just take a snapshot with your eyes, and then open review 622 for the rugged surge. All right, let me do that. I had made a link to it. So click that. And I have that now too. Okay, perfect. That was 47 reviews ago. You had the rugged surge review. And check out the shape of the rugged surge impulse in figure 4A of review 622. And then go back to review 669 of the Central Banish 30 Gold. And look at figure 4A. And look at the shape. It's not the same, but similar. Yeah. Okay. Now, yeah, the Banish 30 Gold, is it quieter than the surge overall? It is. Yes. But the shape of the impulse waveforms is really similar. And then if you have the Ultra 9, and I actually have the Ultra 9 review open right here. The Ultra 9 has wildly different impulse, both in shape and magnitude. That's important, and we'll get that in a second. I want to know. I actually want to note that later. The magnitude of the Thunder Beast Ultra 9 impulse is lower, but the shape is different because the shape of the pressure curve is different too. The shape of the blowdown of the Ultra 9 is different. That's going to come back to. We're going to have to discuss that in a second. Now, the Banish 30 Gold is behaving like a rugged surge in overall behavior, but it's quieter overall. The Ultra 9 exhibits a lower peak pressure and impulse at the muzzle, actually. It does. But its jetting also exhibits different timing and actually doesn't suppress in the same way. And that's important. If you look at figure 3A in the Ultra 9 review, which is going to be this is what I'm talking about, the pressure, the overpressure. You would call this in decibels. It's actually using units of Pascal in the figure, but we convert to logarithmic scale later for decibels. But forget about decibels for now. Look at the raw Pascal waveforms oscillating. Now, I lost my train of thought. Oh, that's right. Sorry. Figure 3A in the Ultra 9 review. Compare that to Figure 3A in the Central Banish 30 Gold review. Okay? You will see that the Ultra 9 overall, it has lower peak sound pressure, but its gas dump is slower. Okay, I'm going to stop. I want you to click back and forth and look at those figures and look at the shape. Look what happens. It's a different gas dump. It's a different type of gas dump. It's a different type. It's a different wave shape. Okay? The gas dump from the Ultra 9 is slower. The pressure from the Banish 30 Gold decays faster. The Banish 30 Gold is letting gas out faster. It has a lower omega metric, okay? And that's part of the thing driving the sound signature. It's not just the peaks. It's when they occur. It's how they occur. It's for how long they occur. And it's what your ear thinks about all of that. And it's really fascinating. It's actually crazy. And you know what's really interesting about it? This is just something that I think I've talked to some of you about this before, and this is public, and you should know it, and you're gonna find out. And it's boy, is it gonna hurt feelings, but it's reality. It's interesting because I've tested other Thunder Beast silencers. You just haven't seen it yet, and their peak pressure is often pretty low. But the actual signature, the actual sound signature, the holistic from before combustion takes place all the way until the combustion is gone and blowdown is complete, that entire holistic signature is more severe than you would think. And my postulation is that these are silencers developed with peak dB as a metric. If I was a betting man, okay, that's what the data shows in the public review so far and in some other testing I have done. I am only speaking about what the data and analysis shows. I'm making conclusions based on not supposition, other people's opinions, or anything anyone has said except for me. This is what I see. And I'm pretty sure I'm right. It's funny, I can actually tell now when I test silencers which metrics folks have been focusing on. I can tell. Some folks, it's interesting. I have a lot of clients now, so I can see how, and I can see if my I can ask them, and I can see if my guesses are right. It's cool because some folks only focus on how the silencer sounds to them and their team, and they actually don't put a lot of emphasis on the single peaks. And I found that some of those silencers do really well with and they have a higher suppression rating. It's funny how that works, huh? It's almost as if the data's real and right and meaningful. Isn't that weird? And you talk to a lot of old school silencer guys, they'll go by ear. Is that the best way? No, it is not. But in design tweaks and stuff, they know when they need to ignore their single peak dB because it might have them chase their tail. You understand? Yeah, and we can talk about this a little bit later in the podcast, but there's a reason why we have PI space and why you have to map different spaces. You cannot play in the same PI space with every silencer, guys. It doesn't work. The silencer sound standard tells you that. The people that are saying that like they don't agree with it, well, they're not reading it. Because I've already said it all. I've already told you. It's all there. You just have to read it. I tell you, I actually say the shape matters. The curve shape matters. You can't play in the same PI space if you with peak pressure and peak impulse. You can't play in the same PI space when your shapes are different. That is not and you know what? That's not my rule, and that has nothing to do with the silencers. That's everything. This isn't my first rodeo, guys. Okay, this is like when I'm doing this method. You think I just like made all this up? Come on, guys. I didn't. It's from people way smarter than all you and me that figured it out a long time ago, and we're just applying this established science to silencers. That's right. Now, all in all, I will say this silencer, the Banish 30 Gold, it's interesting. It is. And you need to keep in mind, folks, it's not a Banish 30. it's not the same silencer. That's a different silencer. That silencer performs differently. Don't go thinking you're going to get the same performance out of that Banish 30 as you are the Banish 30 Gold. It's going to be different. Okay, that silencer, that regular Banish, it has some curved cones. It has less of them, and it's a little bit smaller in diameter. It's a different silencer, guys. So you guys might see that data, or maybe you won't. We'll see. Okay, we'll see. So again, it's an interesting, relatively simple design, and this was the 308 performance. I mean, there's not much else more to say about that. We've looked at so many 308 silencers. You kind of see how it stacks up. You see the design. There's not much else I can tell you about it. I tell you how it performed. I tell you how the FRP is. It is what it is. I mean, as far as performance, that's what I think, because I think that the data is correct. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you about it. But what we can do is talk about how this same baffle stack, this same simple baffle stack does with subsonic 300 blackout out of an 8-inch barrel. That's right. And that is on topic number 3. That is right, at a time of 51 minutes and 13 seconds. Okay, man, this one. Try to click over to my window here, and I must have almost closed it. That would have been a disaster. Okay. Let's go ahead. I'm going to hit back. Go ahead and hit review 670. That's right. Topic 3. Sound Station Review 670. The silencer Central Banish 30 Gold on subsonic 300 blackout. Okay, one moment. All right. So this is a different flow regime, right? So you kind of saw how it's kind of like an Ultra 9. It's kind of like a regular surge. Supersonic. Well, now we're in a completely different sport, aren't we? One of my industry buddies, he's a gun friend, and now he's an industry person, but one of my industry buddies told me the other day, and I think he actually said it in the group chat with some of us, he said, subsonic is easy mode for a silencer. I mean, that's not exactly what he said, but that's what he said. Like subsonic is easy mode. And that is true. Subsonic is easy mode. But there are things about subsonic flow in silencers that is not easy mode. There's actually something that's super important that many people don't get right, and it can be a make or break metric for many consumers. And we'll talk about that in a second here, okay? So keep in mind, now this is a different flow regime than Supersonic 308. It's a different pressure. It's a different duration. It's a different flow speed. Same silencer. How does the signature differ, though? Well, it differs as much as night and day. And I know this is old hat for some of you, but I know there's a lot of new listeners to the podcast all the time. When you change weapon systems and ammunition and all the aforementioned things I just spoke about, the duration, the flow speed, everything, the pressure, when you change everything, a dynamic pressure vessel will release gas at a completely different rate and with a completely different amplitude and timing. Okay, and what is a dynamic pressure vessel? Well, it's a silencer is a dynamic pressure vessel, isn't it? That's right. So, look at the rating, the bottom line up front here. Composite suppression rating of 64.2. Oh, okay. 59.1 at the muzzle, 61.9 at the ear. Dude, that's what you want. That's what you want from subsonic 300 blackout. If you want quiet time, you kind of want to be in the 60 zone, guys, at least. This is where you want to live. For subsonic 300 blackout on an 8-inch barrel weapon, bolt action, the 60 zone, cool. You're in the 60 zone. You're like, all right, I'm doing pretty good. That's an average rate. That's the average. That's the rating. Now, it's not all roses for this silencer, and was this a contracted test from Silencer Central? Absolutely. Do I tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly about every silencer that I review? Absolutely. Okay, and I can tell you it's not all roses for the Banish 30 Gold on subsonic 300 blackout. It's not. the Banish 30 Gold did have some first round pop to bystanders with Supersonic 308. You remember that? Well, how does that manifest in Subsonic 300 Blackout? The Supersonic 308, that had some FRP. But what happens in Subsonic 300 Blackout? Now, for specific FRP metrics for this review, it's a member thing. You're going to have to check out the member version of the review. It's section... One moment. I will scroll down and tell you. 6.70.1.2. 670.1.2 is the section for members to look at. Okay, but if you're not a member supporter of Pew Science, you can still get an idea by looking at Figure 3. So let's scroll up here. We'll go to Figure 3. Let's go to Figure 3A, Figure 3B. All right. Now, guys, this is what I want you to look at. This is very important. I'm serious. This is important. Now, the FRP impulse. Okay, actually, you know what? I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's do it right. Let's go to pressure space first. Let's be a dynamicist purist, shall we? And we'll go to Figure 2. Let's look at Figure 2. I want you to look at Figure 2B. You see the black curve? Cool. Now look at the blue and the red curves in Figure 2B. You see how the amplitude drops? That's right. Huge suppression. The black curve is all over the place. The blue and the red are significantly suppressed, like significantly. What you are seeing in Figure 2B, is first round pop in pressure space, aren't you? This is a really, really, really good plot, dude. Figure 2B, that's actually one of the, I'm looking at it, I'm just like, what a succinct and clear visual illustration of the FRP phenomena. Just look at it, dude. It's just maybe it's just the color contrast of the black and the blue and the red, but it is undeniable. The waveforms are on top of each other in early time. You know, the precursor flow, the bullet coming out. It's a restrictive silencer. It's pretty predictable, and then the FRP, wham. And then you take shot 2, and the oxygen is consumed already, and you just trap gas. You just trap that gas, and it hums along, and you're barely getting above. Man, I can't see on the plot. I don't want to lie to you, but not even getting above 60 pascals in early time. And then finally, it gets, what does it get? Shot 2 gets to 134.8 dB. Okay. Later in time, and you're like, oh my gosh, it really suppressed. Shot 2 and shot 3 are just like really good looking on Figure 2B. This is just pressure. Okay. Now, if you really want to drive the point home and you don't want to think as hard, which is fine, everyone learns differently. Go to the next figure, Figure 3. Now you see the black curve is way higher, and all the other curves are pretty much on top of each other. It looks like, actually kind of interesting. It looks like shot 2 is a little higher, and then it calms down in shot 3, then shot 4, and shot 5 overlay. Isn't that interesting? Maybe you just had to burn up that last bit. Couldn't quite get it all out. That's cool. So yeah, the Figure 3 is even more striking if you're not as persnickety and looking at the pressure in Figure 2. But that's why I provide both Figure 2A and 2B so you can really see. And what I do is I zoom into a region of interest that I think is important to look at. And that's why that's there. And then Figure 3 is I'm zooming in as well to a region of interest to make sure you fully understand not only what's going on, but also so you can make sure the data fidelity and that the pedigree is correct. Okay. Now, I will say, and this is kind of an overall point, you guys see how valuable it is when you present data like this in the way it's presented. Like, you don't even have to look at the numbers to see something completely and utterly violent is happening in shot one, right? And this, it's not, guys, it's not complicated. And this is a warning. This is not to be mean. This is not to be inflammatory or controversial. I am trying to help you, the listener and the consumer. Be very careful when the silencer manufacturers tell you that this isn't open and transparent. Okay? What you're seeing in figure 3 was invented by Isaac Newton. Okay? This is calculus. And it's the most open and transparent thing you can plot. It's literally impulse. Okay? It shows things you can't hide. It's a very useful tool. Is it the end-all be-all for the sound signature review? No, this is just a tool, just like everything. The holistic answer is what matters. And all the constituent parts matter too. Impulse shows you things you can't hide, no matter how hard you try. Remember the energetic armament Vox S review when I put a wipe in it and I shot it for a 20-shot test? Remember that review? Go, and I'm not even going to pull it up right now, but I'm just going off of memory. Go back to that test on the website and look at the impulse curves. And remember how like the impulse changed as like first it was loud because we popped the wipe in the huge FRP of the Vox, and then it got really quiet, and then the wipe kept getting shot through, and we did a 20-shot test, so we saw we were continuously destroying the wipe, and then the impulse started to go back up after it went down. How would you possibly illustrate that to somebody with data without plotting what I did? So there's that. That's one special case. I mean, that's not a special case, but that is like a flagrant case of impulse being more valuable than you could possibly see elsewhere. And then remember the omega metric, that huge simplified metric that I created to essentially use external measurement to help us track flow restriction. Remember that? That uses impulse as well. Okay? It's simple. It's effective. It's consistent. It's transparent. It's open. It's there for you. It's 2 years of this, guys. This is 2 years. This is 2 years straight. 1 second. And it's funny because like one guy sent a Pew Science member sent me a message where a manufacturer was like, well, open transparency. Okay, well, I wanted to go back to something I was going to say, and since we're talking about impulse, and we just talked about pressure, and we just talked about impulse, and I want to make something clear, and I said it earlier in the podcast, but I want to make sure folks really get this, because I've gotten some questions before, and it's in the Silencer Sound Standard, but I don't know if everyone read it. I'm going to say this again, and you can get a textbook on this if you want. Okay, this is in the literature. This is established science and engineering, and I do it every day. I literally, this is like my job. Pressure impulse diagrams. That is when you plot pressure and impulse, like shown in the Silencer Sound Standard, pressure impulse diagrams, and the resulting ISO curves in those diagrams that delineate different levels of response for things in the pressure and impulse regime as pairs. Those type of diagrams are only valid for waveforms of similar shape or same shape. Okay, let me say it again. I don't want this to be ambiguous, or maybe you think I'm glossing over it. Pressure impulse diagrams are only valid for waveforms of the same shape. Okay, that is physics. That is the way it is. And what happens when the shapes change? I said this earlier in the podcast. I'm saying it again because I wanted to catch you off guard and close this loop with pressure and impulse, and I want to see if you're paying attention. What happens when the shapes change? You're going to need other parameters to help map the spaces you create. And this is why when you have one silencer type and you make tiny tweaks to the design as a manufacturer designer, the simple peak dB testing can help you in your development to a certain point. Because why? Because you're playing in one PI space, roughly. Now, if you have two totally different silencers, or you're changing your design so much that the two designs diverge enough in wave shape to hop PI spaces, now you're operating in two different PI spaces without a map. So if you don't have other parameters, you're not going to be able to properly characterize the performance, because you changed your performance so much that the PI space you had mapped with your peak measurements, your map is no good anymore. You just went to a different planet, and guess what? Their north is different, gravity's different, and they don't have trees. They have butter growing out of the ground, and you're lactose intolerant. So you understand what I'm saying? So, I mean, roughly. So this is why we have the suppression rating. And I'm going to say this, and it's going to sound scary, but it's true. The suppression rating allows you to hop between PI spaces. It's a universal metric. That's the power of it. And I've never said it in this way to you publicly before. But people need to hear it, because I think you guys, you're learning so much now. I think you're following me what I'm saying. You need to understand, when I say the suppression rating is powerful, it's because it is. It's so advanced. It is a portal to different PI dimensions. It is a decoder ring for you. And you can hop dimensions with it. You can hop PI space. Literally. It's a universal metric. It's so cool. And that's why I invented it, because it's useful for us for small arms. I mean, you could probably use it for other stuff, but it wouldn't be as cool. I'd have to change some stuff. But yeah, it works pretty good for guns, and that's what I care about. That's what I like. So we're doing that. Now, this, back to the Banish 30 Gold, this is one of the reviews that is making me want to start giving an FRP rating. You see. I've been thinking about it. Some of you kind of messaged me. Some of you emailed me about it when I mentioned it the other day. Some of you DM'd me. We're talking about it. I haven't talked with you a lot about it because I've been busy. The more I think about it, the more I think that if I do a first round pop rating, it might be members only. I think the general public's getting a lot for free in general, which is great. And I do it obviously to help people, but I also need support. And so, and I also think the members deserve things for supporting. And I think maybe I was using some other feedback I got from another member. I was thinking maybe I make a members only ranking section. You know, maybe the links to the member reviews get in your table, so that way you don't have to keep hopping back and forth. Because I know the reviews, the links in the ranking section are free ones. So if you're a member and you're on the rankings page and you click one of those links, it takes you to the free review. That's inconvenient. It's just the way my website's designed, the way I made it. So I think if I can change that, maybe add some stuff there, and maybe add an FRP rating for the members in a members ranking section, maybe some other stuff, some other data tools I might be able to do for you. I don't know. I was just brainstorming and thinking about it. I do listen to member requests. Just because I don't respond right away, or you don't see something implemented after you let me know about something, it's not that I'm ignoring you. It's that I have a lot of people asking me for things, both members and non-members. And so I try to listen and digest, and then perform triage, and also think about with the ramifications of something I do and how it can have ripple effects. Because now when Pew Science does something, it can actually greatly affect the industry. For example, when I asked you guys what SBR you wanted, and you picked the Mark 18. And it ends up, it was actually a good choice, but it was also a powerful choice. And it is causing some problems, isn't it? No one ever had done that before, had they? And so people are freaking out about that. But also, the Mark 18 is really good because it is standardized and a lot of people like it, even though it's stupid. And yeah, and general defense, that is not a knock on you because you had nothing to do with the Mark 18. You just make them. You feel me? You general defense, you are not the people who invented it. It was not your idea to cut a barrel down with the gas port where it is and cut it down at 10.3 inches because you couldn't cut it down even any further and thread it. That wasn't your rodeo, dude. So excuse me. So yeah, this is where I'm losing my voice. 1 second. Let me pause this. Sorry, guys. My voice is going. So, yeah. There's a lot of stuff that we're doing here. And I just want to make sure we do it right. I want to make sure that we listen to the concerns that are needed to be listened to, and we also ignore the things that are superfluous. And with this Banish 30 gold, if I were to listen to actually some major industry parties about things, you would have never seen Saunter Central data. If I were to listen to some others, you would have never seen some other reviews. If I were to, and this is, and if you guys think that like I'm talking about one person, I'm not. I'm talking about many people, because many people have opinions about what PewScience should do, how they feel about certain people and certain companies, and they give me a lot of opinions all the time. I have to remain Switzerland, and actually one of the PewScience member manufacturers, and I talk about that sometimes, and I tell him I have to be Switzerland, and he understands, and it is what it is. And so I'm really glad that I took that stance a while back to make that choice to completely be Switzerland and put any type of bias or personal opinion or anything aside when it comes to doing analysis and presenting data to the world. And I'm very thankful that has led me to examine a lot of different products and a lot of different silencers and things that maybe we wouldn't have seen. And I will say that I am really pleased that Silencer Central approached PewScience, saw the value in the work, saw the potential to showcase their product to the world, good or bad. They didn't know what their silencer was going to rank or score. I mean, they showed they showed me some of their internal test data. And they've tested a lot of stuff. A lot of companies do their own testing, as you guys know. They showed me their test data for their products. They showed me the test data they have for other products, things like that. Their data is not going to show what mine shows, like in the way it shows it. But they know what their silencer sounds like. Okay. And when they saw the results on this subsonic 300 blackout on the 308, they knew. They're like, oh, yeah. Thank you for characterizing it. I said, no problem. And that's pretty cool. I was happy to do it. I told you guys last episode that a lot of you guys, this wouldn't be in your radar, but frankly, like sometimes that's going to happen. And also, I actually don't care, because not only do I not care what you buy ever, but the fact that, and I have the baffle sitting on my desk right here because I took the end cap off. I'm looking at it right now. The fact that we know with this light little titanium baffle with these little index notches that clips together and the fact that we know what this baffle does now in a quantity of 11, in a tube that size, a tube that long, with that type of mount, with the fact that we know what it does in multiple flow regimes, like we do, is such a win for the industry that it doesn't matter who makes the silencer. It's valuable and it's awesome. So thank you, Silencer Central. I appreciate it, and I look forward to doing more of that. And if you're around and you know Silencer Central, go thank them. Okay, they came to Pew Science, they contracted for the work, and I think it was fruitful. All right, let's move into topic 4 at a time of 1 hour, 15 minutes, and 30 seconds. Okay, let me get a drink of water one more time. Okay, I felt good about that one. I'm literally going to lose my voice. This would be bad. Topic 4. Oh my gosh, guys. Do you have a moment to speak about the Surefire OBC and using it with short dwell time with silencers? I am so 11.5-inch mid-length gain right now, guys. Just gather around. Show me your membership card to get in the door. I'm just all about. It's just because I went shooting just recently, and man, I want to tell you some more about Knight's Armament, and because they know what's going on with it. And then there was Rooftop Defense, which was an organization that's also aware of Pew Science. Man, there's so much. This topic is just kind of a potpourri of just positivity. I went out shooting this past weekend, and I went 2 days in a row. I went Saturday and Sunday, and I didn't work at all this weekend, which was so cool. I didn't work at all. I was so happy. And that hasn't happened in a long time. And so the DMs and the emails have piled up. It's a disaster. But it is what it is. And I just made that choice. So sorry, guys. I'm probably gonna need to do it more often. I obviously can't do it every weekend, but I'm gonna need to do it more often, because if I don't make time for myself like that, I'm just not gonna work. Okay, so I'm gonna do what I need to do, and you're just gonna have to deal with that. Now, about the shooting I did, I shot a few uppers. It was a stoner weekend, guys. It was an AR weekend. M193 ammo. I bought a bunch of it with me. I shot the 13.7-inch intermediate gas upper that I built with the Knight's Armament URX 3.1. Shout out to Bear Arms, who is a Pew Science member. They actually gave me that barrel for Christmas. Shot it for the first time on Saturday. It was cool. I used the LMT enhanced bolt carrier group. Not only the enhanced carrier, that I had a bunch of those, but I actually recently got my complete LMT enhanced bolt carrier group in. I ordered it 2 years ago. I finally got it in, and I had an H2 buffer, so I was like, I'm putting this gun together. Cool. Let's do something different than the OBC. So I tuned it with the Superlative Arms block. It was cool. What else did I shoot? I shot 11.5-inch mid with the Knight's Armament free float RAS, right? The quad rail with the OBC tuned. That's that rifle you've seen me post 100 times. And then I also shot my other 11.5-inch mid upper that has the Knight's Armament URX 4, and I used that OBC with that one. And that was actually the one that I actually shot all Sunday, just that rifle. And the silencers I used were actually they're all CGS stuff. One existing silencer I shot, and then I shot a military contract silencer all Sunday. That you can see on the podcast photo today or future Jay is going to post. If you're listening to this, the photo that comes with the podcast, it's an 11.5-inch mid-length gas upper with the Knight's Armament URX 4, and that contract silencer's on there. And you know what? The really cool part, I could finally use the Magpul bipod I have. I've had it for years. I've never been able to use it with anything because it's an M-Lock bipod. I bought the M-Lock for some reason, and none of my other rails have M-Lock that I shoot. And I was like, besides the URX4. So I was like, oh man. So I was like, oh, I need a bipod because I want to shoot prone too. That's one of the shootings I want to do this weekend. So I was like, oh man. Okay, I'm gonna pop the M-Lock bipod on there, and I like it. I do like the M-Lock bipod, but there is something I don't like about it. I don't like that I can't fold the legs backward quickly to put it in a short bag when I remove the QD silencer to make it all short. So you would have to like loosen the adjustment knob and spin it all around. It's not. I mean, for storage, I guess, if whatever, but it's not as fast. It sucks. I don't understand why Magpul didn't make it go both ways. Why does it only flip? Why do the legs only go one way? I didn't understand. Like my Atlas bipod goes both ways. The one that's on my fix. That I wonder if I can get another mount for that one because it has the Q-cert mount. I wonder if I could get an M-Lock mount for that. Would it work? Maybe I need another Atlas. I don't know. I guess the Atlas bipod's pretty good. Like I said, the Magpul bipod's cool, but I just think it's lacking compared to the Atlas. That's just my opinion. And I'm not a bipod reviewer, so I'm just giving you my experience. Now, I would have used my grip pod, but that's on my Knights quad rail gun. So I'm not going to take that. What, they don't make an M-Lock grip pod. M-Lock is too newfangled. So grip pod is OG. So yeah, and so everyone's gonna ask me how the stuff that I shot sounded, and they're gonna ask for data, and people, oh, how'd you like the LMT enhanced? And guys, I didn't measure anything. I put my earplugs in my ears, and sometimes I accidentally had them out, and I shot, and one of the silencers that I was shooting is pretty good, and that's the one in the gun in the picture, and you can speculate if you want. I'm not really, this was like a free day for me and like a free weekend that I actually wanted to have fun, so I didn't really give it a lot of thought giving you data. It's not really part of this. I just want to talk about, like, I really enjoyed shooting these short barrel rifle uppers. I mean, they were all on a machine gun lower, but and I did do some full auto, of course. I did. The LMT, the rate of fire with the H2 is faster than the OBC, but you need to also keep in mind that the LMT enhanced with an H2, I know it has an unlock delay with the LMT enhanced carrier due to the length and cam path, but there's two key differences between an LMTE with H2 and a Surefire OBC. The first difference is that the total mass is different, and that the OBC is and I've said this 100 times. People keep asking me. I'm like, just look it up. The Surefire equivalent total weight is like mil-spec or LMT with an H3. So it's heavier. What does a heavier bolt carry grip do to cyclic rate? Well, it slows it down. There's that. But also something that's different with the Surefire OBC that no other thing has is that the stroke is longer. The Surefire buffer is shorter, the carrier key is truncated, and the Surefire bolt carrier, the OBC, travels rearward into your receiver extension, the buffer tube. It travels rearward further than other bolt carriers. So what does that do? It lets your magazine have more time to feed. It makes your cyclic rate drop a little bit. It's a longer stroke. It's awesome. The Surefire OBC is awesome. What happens when you put it on full auto? You sing Kumbaya is what you do because it's awesome. Okay, so that was cool. I just compared them both, and I was like, well, oh, you know what? I was mag dumping with the LMTE just to see the function, and it got dirty. It got dirtier faster than the OBC because the coating's not as advanced, and fouls faster, and you have to open the gas more before you from malfunctions and stuff with a bunch of suppressed full auto mag dumps. It's just not as good overall. But a lot of you who think you need that, well, you don't because you don't have a machine gun. But I think the LMTE, I think if I broke it in more and I mean, you got to keep in mind, I literally took the LMTE out of the package. It had some oil on it. I had some grease. I put some grease on it, and then I shot some, and I don't really remember. I might have put some break free in the little holes there. I don't know. I barely even did anything to it. So yeah, it probably needs to be broken in and clean it more. But yeah, it like there was one point where it didn't lock back on an empty mag, and I was like, maybe I'll open the gas another click or something because it got dirty. It's just one of those things. It's fine. But it was not. It was okay. But and I think I was using a flat wire spring with the LMTE. I don't know. Either way, it's not going to be as refined as the OBC in machine gun fire ever. It's just not. Nothing is. And I can't find anything that would be, except maybe one of those weird hydraulic buffer setups, but that's not really my jam. So yeah. What else did I do? Oh yeah, I was going to say, I have a bunch of EOTech stuff because I love EOTech. And I usually zero I usually zero my EOTech at my EXPSs. I usually zero them at 50 yards. I like the EOTech EXPS 3-2. That's the EXPS 3, and the -2 means it has 2 dots in the middle. So you got the 1 dot, which is like the center dot, and then the bottom dot you can use for different holds and stuff like that. So I usually zero at 50. And then which is kind of close to at 200, and then you're a little high at 100, basically a few inches high at 100, depending on your velocity, all that good stuff. And I like to shoot at between 50 and 200 yards or so with my EOTech equipped ARs. Like that's what I do. That's how I practice. And what I do for fun. I like shooting for fun. I'm not. Like, I guess I'm training because I'm getting reps in, but I like to shoot for fun. It's like shooting is a fun thing for me when I have time. And I got that 5X EOTech magnifier. It's called the G45. I love it. And I used it this weekend, and I used it to get super reliable hits at 200 yards, standing from shooting sticks. And I think that was pretty good for high wind and M193 out of an 11.5. I felt like I was doing pretty good. It's pretty fun. I'm not a super duper sniper, but I thought that was fun. It was cool. And big shout out to Rooftop Defense. I don't know if you guys know who these people are, but it was crazy. I was out doing that thing I told you about in the intro to the podcast last week, losing my mind, freaking out. And I checked my phone. And one of my followers on social media, he might be a Pew Science member. I don't know. I can't remember. He alerted me to the fact that new Unity, it's a brand called Unity. I just learned about them the other day. They make a magnifier mount that flips straight down instead of to the side, like the one that came with a G45. And the follower said, "Hey, Rooftop Defense has them in stock, dude." And I saw it, and I was like, "Oh, thank you so much, sir." I went to the Rooftop Defense website. I bought one, and then I realized, oh crap, that's designed to work with their riser. I won't be able to use that with my G45 unless I raise my EOTech up a little bit. I was like, that's weird. Well, I have a bunch of EOTechs. Let me just use a riser for the first time. I heard maybe it can make your neck more comfortable. And I was like, whatever. I don't really shoot with the night vision a lot. I usually have a thermal scope, but I was like, okay, I want to use this cool flip up thing. It looks neat. I'm going to buy that. Why not? Let me buy a riser too. So I went on Rooftop Defense and I made a second order for a riser. So at this time I bought 2 things on Rooftop Defense, and I'm like, okay, I mean, a few $100, whatever, treat yourself, right? I barely ever buy myself anything anyway. So I was like, I'm just going to buy these and see what's going on. Well, I tell the guy in the DMs, I'm like, hey man, like, I appreciate it, dude. Thank you for letting me know. I bought those. I'll let you know how I like them. The dude called Rooftop Defense. He told Rooftop Defense to cancel my orders and that he was going to pay for them instead. And then the Rooftop Defense dude, he was like, no, I'm going to pay for both of your orders. So the Rooftop Defense ended up comping the guy's order that told me about the things and canceled my order and my order. And so the Rooftop Defense gave me and this random dude everything for free. Like, what in the world, dude? It was crazy. Like, that happened last week, and I was like, oh my, and I think I posted about, I made a story about it on Instagram. I was like, I have never seen anything like that. And then, when I made that story, so many people came out of the woodwork, and they were like, dude, there are some good people in the gun industry, and the dude who runs Rooftop Defense is one of them. And I was like, apparently so. Because the guy called me. The Rooftop Defense dude called me after all this, and he told me that. He was like, hey, I'm just canceling your orders. I just want to make sure this address is right, and we get this all set up right for you. Don't worry about it. That guy's, doing everything. And then, like, he got to talking. He's like, he knew about pew signs. He's like, yeah, I love what you're doing. I was like, what? That's crazy. And then that's not all. I mentioned this earlier, but I mean, Knights Armament is telling me they appreciate what I'm doing. HK actually. Well, guess what? Guess about another email I got today. HK confirmed the order for the SP5 and the SP5 PDW test house, guys. That's on the books now. That's coming. I don't know when they're going to be delivered, but that order is officially confirmed. So they actually went through. There's that. So you got Knights Armament, you got HK, you got Rooftop Defense, you got all the Pew Science members on the website, you got all the dealers, distributors, you got Sponsor Central, you got Sponsor Shop, you got all these people, the people making parts for people, the people making mounts. Swiss CNC supports Pew Science. I don't know if you know who that is, but they make a lot of cool stuff. They're on there. You can see their logo on the website. Word's getting out. Big companies are taking note. The standard is strong, guys. It's working. And the biggest winner by a mile is the consumer. It's the long game, dude. We're doing it. And you guys are all reaping the benefits of this too. You really are. I don't know. With that, thank you. Thank you to all of you. 2 years. And here's to the next 2. And the next 2 after that. All right? So stay safe out there, guys. I really mean it. I will talk with you folks again soon. All right, bye.